Hello and welcome back everybody to the Foodbuild factory, where today we're going to take a look at Mantis. That's the girl you can see on screen right now. And as always, I'm going to show you some gameplay in the first part of the video, and in the second half of the video we're going to take a look at the perks, mutations, equipment and everything else. So let's get right into it. What this character is going to be about is we are going to play as a stealth build and a hybrid between Rifleman and Commando. So while that initially doesn't seem like it's all that crazy, there are some nice little twists to this character, and basically what I wanted to do with this one here is I started making this build directly after the resource hunter, which we're using in order to see how well the railway rifle performs outside of vats. Had a ton of fun with that build, but yeah, if you've seen that, or if you ever used a railway rifle in this game, you are probably aware that the recoil on that weapon is tremendous. And yeah, I want to look at the polar opposite and one of the best recoil weapons in the game, in my eyes at least. There are a few weapons that surpass this. Now, for example, I think the automatic pipe pistol or pipe rifle would have better recoil control than the assault rifle, and something that comes pretty close is the handmade. But yeah, other than that, there's not a lot you can do in order to get such good recoil and yeah, manual handling. The reason I wanted to do this is I never done it before, which is rather straightforward, and I know that a lot of people, I mean, there's no denial, Vats Stealth Commando is the way to go, but yeah, you can even get away with Vats Rifleman, but non-Vats characters are rather rare, unless you're looking at heavy gunners and so on. But yeah, I wanted to take a look at it, and while it isn't the most ammo efficient way to play the game, like you're definitely burning through more bullets than you would with a Vats character, it isn't really lacking in power, in my opinion, and in addition to that, it is a ton of fun. It really makes the game feel a bit different. So I was really pleased with how the build turned out, and yeah, the way we are trying to get the recoil so manageable is basically through mods on the weapon, first and foremost. So we're using all stabilized stuff rather than the usual aligned modifications that we would use in order to get better VATS efficiency. And in addition to that, we are making use of the sniper perk, which I'm pretty sure I never shown off on this channel before. Yeah, it is a bit of a waste of perk points in most situations for this simple reason that, yeah, the benefits you're getting, I mean, it's not one of those weapons that tells you something that it doesn't do. It does everything that it says, but the benefit in and of itself isn't that crazy. Like, you get a bit of improved range when you're looking through a scope, and in addition to that, you get better weapon handling, accuracy, which is basically sway of your weapon. So, to show it off here, as you can see, our crosshair doesn't move at all, which is very nice for a sniper build, so you can align shots very easily, going for headshots. Now, you will probably notice that I'm not consistently going for headshots, but that's simply due to the reason that I'm not a particular good aimer. So, yeah, what I'm doing, I'm trying to focus on the chest for most of the time, and yeah, we will occasionally get some headshots in, but keep in mind, in the hand of a more skilled player, you would probably see, well, better returns. But anyways, another thing is, yeah, I decided to make this here a semi-automatic rifleman rather than a commando build. There's no particular reason for it. I actually started out using this as a commando build, and it worked, well, perfectly. The thing is, you still are getting a bit of a better handling when it comes to recoil and so on if you're using this as a rifleman build, and that's why I wanted to really double down on the whole recoil thing. And in addition to that, yeah, it's basically something I've never done on the channel as well, which is, yeah, a semi-automatic rifleman. Now, when I have done stealth snipers and the like, I usually were focusing on weapons like the gauss rifle, the hunting rifle, you know, the stuff that you would typically yeah, assume to be Rifleman weapons. But I mean, having something like this here, semi-automatic Rifleman weapon in a Rifleman build, it's never a bad decision because, yeah, in a lot of situations, especially talking about mobbing, like having groups of lower enemies, or even when it comes to bosses, you're probably better off having a bit more DPS rather than damage per shot. Okay, so now we are getting a bit swarmed here, so that's when we are bringing out our backup weapon, a quad faster fire rate 10mm pistol, and just like our main weapon, the recoil here is very good. You may notice that I'm using pretty much basic iron sights. I mean, it's the glow sight variant just because for the look of it, but yeah, we're not using any scope or something like that because this weapon is purely meant to be our close quarters weapon. And in addition to that, yeah, we do have a ranged option here, which I really like, but I just wanted to have a bit of a close quarters weapon, yeah, as I just said. And I think a 10mm pistol makes up very well for this. Now, unfortunately, I can't seem to find the Scorch Beast here, which is a bit odd. I haven't played here and killed it, so it's not a refresh thing or anything, so yeah, maybe we'll leave that out for now, sadly. But yeah, hopefully this video, by the way, is a bit shorter than my last two ones, which turned out to be quite monstrous. Thing is though, yeah, that was just a lot to talk about, which I think isn't the case on this situation here. We should be able to get back into our typical half an hour time frame. Just because, yeah, it's rather straightforward. There are some tiny little details that are nice to mention in this build here, but for the most part, it's what you would expect. Yeah, I just wanted to showcase, because basically the assault rifle is one of those odd weapons that's just a worse version of the handmade rifle, basically. Like linear weapon progression, I think it's called, where yeah, you will get this weapon and it's quite nice and everything, but sooner or later there's just no point in using it anymore because there's just a straight up better version. And yeah, it's definitely the case with the assault rifle. I mean, it has one or two things going for it which the handmade doesn't have, but basically the benefits it has over the handmade in 99% of the cases is just too minuscule to be bothered with. Like, we're talking about a very fast reload speed, which the assault rifle has, but commando weapons do have a very fast reload speed anyway, so the benefit isn't as great as it would be on something like a heavy weapon or so. And in addition to that, yeah, the recoil, which is rather nice. It's a bit better than on the handmade, but I think the handmade, yeah, it's absolutely no problem to handle that thing whatsoever. So here we did see a use of Tormentor, by the way. I mean, it arguably wasn't really necessary because, as you can see there, the Assaultron was already nearly dead by the time we were crippling its limbs. But yeah, just to point that out a little bit, we will go over it later, but yeah, we are using the Tormentor perk. And another thing is what this character is makes it a bit special. We have a rather low luck investment, which is rather rare for commando builds, not commando builds, rifleman builds, just because, yeah, most of the time you are using vats, and yeah, that's it. Now, one thing that should be said about this build is basically it should just show a bit of, basically it's showcasing backup weapons, in my opinion. Now, there's nothing holding you back from just using a hunting rifle, free aim, if that's what you want to do here, and keep the assault rifle as a backup. But yeah, other than that, I decided to go with this here combination. Also, it worked very well in terms of the visuals here, in my opinion. Mantis, I don't know, well, we just have this insectoid look. Really wanted to showcase the Floorwalker skin, which was in the Atom Shop previously. One of the best introductions, in my opinion. Not because it's looking particularly great or anything, but it's definitely a step I want to go with Bethesda at. Like, this looks wacky enough to be fun, but still looks kind of believable in the Fallout universe. And I'm not a fan of all these unstoppable skins and everything like that. They just seem a bit out of place in my opinion. And this year outfit, I think, is a good example of how you can implement wacky stuff into the game that doesn't feel out of place. So yeah, that's definitely something cool, in my opinion. Obviously, the backpack was an obvious choice, Mothman here, and not because we're aligned to the Mothman faction, but just because it carries on this insectoid theme, and mostly we're bringing that home with the Flowwalker outfit and the glowing eyes. Anyways, a bit more about the weapon, probably a good time to talk about that, is we are using a Furious faster fire rate handmade assault rifle. Not my favorite choice, to be honest. The faster fire rate definitely is nice, even though we are using a semi-automatic weapon, but if you're pulling the trigger fast enough, you can definitely get some very good DPS out of this weapon. The Furious effect is a bit lost because on most situations we are going to kill enemies before we get like half the effect going. But yeah, I just didn't have anything better at the moment. So my choice would probably be anti-armor faster fire rate. I mean, in terms of secondary effects, there's only faster fire rate or explosive to go for, to be honest, because we're not using vats. So pretty much every single AP boost or vats boost is lost here. So yeah, there's not a lot to talk about here. Now, instigating would possibly seem like a sensible choice, but I wouldn't recommend it here because the base damage of the weapon is pretty low, so the benefit you're getting from instigating is rather lost here. Yeah, definitely I would go for anti-armor faster fire rate if I had to decide. And in terms of a backup weapon, yeah, the quad faster fire rate 10mm pistol I think is good. Now anti-armor faster fire rate would also be nice. I also used a Furious faster fire rate weapon, which should have been a fun little nod to my very first video ever, where I used that weapon, Furious faster fire rate 10mm pistol. But I just found that, the way the build turned out, I wanted to use this 10mm pistol for very close quarter situations and also as a backup when we're fighting bosses like the Scorpius that we didn't fight. And in that situation, yeah, the reload became a bit tedious on the Furious faster fire rate 10mm pistol. It definitely worked well, it did the job well, but yeah, as I said, the reload speed, the reloads definitely killed it a little bit for me, so I went for quad faster fire rate, which turned out to be way more beneficial. But it would have been nice just to have some combination there, two Furious faster fire rate weapons. Anyways, there's a lot of room for improvement here, what you can do. I mean, you can definitely get away with something like that on a 10mm pistol, but yeah. The main thing here is to showcase, well, first and foremost, how strong stealth in and of itself is. Stealth gameplay, especially with ranged weapons, and yeah, all turned out very great. Now, the most interesting or most different thing about this character compared to my other ones here is probably the fact that, yeah, we will see that later, but I am using very little stat boosts in terms of legendary perks. Like, most of my legendary perks usually go towards boosting particular stats, either to gain more pacifist bonuses like extra agility, extra strength for more melee damage, and so on, but or to get more perks in my build. But on this occasion, there's actually not a lot of perks that we do need. And in fact, we're only using one legendary stat, which is an extra 2 agility, I think, boosting us over 15 just to get better sneak. But other than that, we're just using a lot of convenience perks. We have things in here like ammo factory. We have things in here like, how's it called, Infiltrator, I think, where you can pick every lock and hack every terminal. So yeah, this is a very good all-rounder build in my opinion. Now, I wouldn't bring this to a lot of different daily ops, but pretty much everything that's decryption you can do pretty easily. And yeah, if you're willing to spend the 10mm rounds in more massive amounts, yeah, you can get away with some uplink versions too, but definitely just the easier ones, talking about volatile blood eagles, for example, and so on. You can definitely get away with, or I mean, get away with. It wouldn't be a bad decision to just go for Rifleman or Guerilla, in my opinion, but I wanted to have this kind of hybrid here because it worked rather well without losing out on too much opinion cost. So that's why I wanted to do it. And I think it's a pretty classical take on an action RPG where you say, okay, you have a long-range rifle, and in combination to that, you have a short-range automatic pistol. That seems like a very sensible hybrid, in my opinion. In terms of ammo efficiency, I definitely feel like I'm way more ammo efficient once I settled for Rifleman instead of Commando. But keep in mind, we're not the most ammo efficient build to begin with, due to the fact that we're not using stealth and therefore, vats, and therefore not getting consistent headshots. But yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind. So, as I said in the beginning of the video, you could definitely switch around between using a commando weapon, so the automatic version of the assault rifle, and instead use a semi-automatic 10mm pistol. But I think for what we are using our semi-automatic weapon, the assault rifle definitely does a better job than the 10mm would as a non-automatic weapon. There's the nifty little trick of using the, I think it's tweaked automatic receiver on the 10mm pistol to use gunslinger perks but still have an automatic weapon, but on this occasion I think like that would kind of miss the purpose here. So yeah. Anyways. In terms of stealth, we are doing rather well here. I mean, we're back to hidden, and we are still hidden here. This place here is definitely a bit hard for stealth builds, not because you don't have cover. I mean, the problem is that there's too much cover, in my opinion. So, I always miss some of these guys here. I mean, it may just be me, but yeah, watching other YouTubers, they clear this area here way more efficient than I do, but I just always get kind of lost here. Now, what you saw there is something I will do on occasion, which is just use vats to locate enemies, but yeah. I never once felt the need to use vats with this build. Just felt out of place. The only time where I used it, now that I think about it, is actually when I was fighting some blood bugs in the mire. That's a pain, but other than that, yeah, you can definitely go without ever using vats. And here we see it again, like no sway on the scope here. Now there would be another, if you're not interested in using the sniper perk, or you don't have room for it, there's another way to do this by adding, I think, one stabilized arm piece is actually enough. Could be that you need two of them, but yeah, the stabilized arm modification combined with a recon scope makes it so you have no recoil whatsoever. Not recoil, no sway whatsoever. Anyways, guys, this was the gameplay half of the video. I hope you enjoy it. I think everything turned out rather well. I mean, the only thing we're really missing here is the Scorch Beast fight, but yeah, as you saw there, I mean, maybe you saw the Scorch Beast, I didn't find it actually. And I mean, there's no surprise here. It's definitely one of the harder fights because, yeah, you have to get this thing to land. We do have Tormentor, so you can target the limbs, the wings specifically, and try to force it to land that way. And once it's on the ground, you can just put out your quad faster fire rate 10mm pistol, and the fight is over pretty quickly. So that's definitely something. Yet again, I gotta say, I'm really satisfied with how the looks turned out. I also think for some reason that the assault rifle works well here. I wanted to go for something more wacky, but yeah, turned out this here was the case, and I think I like it. Just if you're interested, the combination on the head is basically the medical goggles, the Mothman goggles, and the skull bandana. The Mothman goggles clip into the medical goggles, and you can play around a little bit with it, depending if you're male or female, and depending on your head. You can make it so that there you see no clipping whatsoever, so that basically the Mothman goggles are completely visible, or you can make it so that they are barely visible. I went for this here middle ground just because it gave the eyes a bit more of a oval form shape. Anyways, a lot of talk for something people are probably not interested. So let's get into it. We're going to take a look at the mutations now. So here they are. We do have Bird Bones, Eagle Eyes, Electrically Charged, Grounded, Healing Factor, Marsupial, and Speed Demon. So let's just start from the bottom here. Speed Demon and Marsupial, very straightforward. More jump height, more movement speed, quite easily one of the more effective mutations for pretty much every build. And the reload speed is also nice. We already have a quite fast reload speed on this weapon, and yeah, using Speed Demon, that's even better. Healing factor is a bit hit or miss. I mean, on this occasion, it doesn't really help us. It doesn't really hurt us. Yeah, just gives us health regen. Our stimpaks are less effective. Now, I find it's rather useful here because yeah, every now and then you do get hit by some stray bullets while you are in stealth, and you don't have to take a stimpak after the fight, and you rarely get into situations where you're really shot at and have to use a stimpak, so the debuff isn't too crazy here, but yeah, as I said, hit or miss. Then we do have Grounded. Pretty straightforward yet again. We're not using a energy weapon, so we can definitely live with less damage to energy weapons and get some extra energy resistance, 100 to be more precise. Not necessary since we are a stealth build, we're not needing any tankiness, but it's the leftover from the last build, and therefore it's here. Same with Electrically Charged, but it doesn't have a downside to us. Now, theoretically, it could make enemies who attack us deal this electrically charged explosion or whatever, and other enemies could be alerted to our presence due to that, but usually at the point where a melee enemy attacks you, you are already detected, so, and that doesn't happen all that often, so yeah, there's that. Then we do have Eagle Eyes, which is completely lost on this character. It's just a leftover, but I thought that, yeah, our strength is so little that with the debuff from Bird Bones alone, we are basically down to strength 1. So that means that the Eagle Eyes debuff doesn't do anything to us, and yeah, extra perception, crit damage just not used here because we're not using vats, but keep that in mind. If I were to go for this build, I wouldn't probably include it just to spare the 300 caps for the mutation, but it does in no way hurt us. That's what I wanted to talk about. And lastly, we do have Bird Bones here. Rather simple extra agility, while we're not using vats or anything, so the action points that come with extra agility aren't all that useful to us. The sheer fact that agility boosts your stealth capabilities is the reason that we have Bird Bones here. I mean, reduced fall speed is always nice, just makes it so you can jump off higher ledges without dying, but yeah, we're really looking for the extra agility here in order to boost our stealth capabilities. Then we do have our armor set, which is all chameleon marine armor. We do have one with Sentinel Intelligence, then we do have luck, and I think the rest of them are all with luck. This here has also Cavalier here, luck, and another intelligence piece. So anyways, nothing groundbreaking here. We only were looking for the chameleon effect. In terms of the rest, there's nothing you desperately need. One of the few characters where AP refresh is not necessary, so, or doesn't give you a lot of help. I mean, it never hurts, but yeah, nothing too crazy here. Legs should be muffled. They are. And yeah, torso is ultra light. You could go for dance, but nothing too crazy useful here. So let's take a look at the weapon. We do have a Furious Fast Fire Rate Assault Rifle, as I told you in the beginning here. And in terms of modifications, yeah, Hardened Receiver, Stabilized Long Barrel, Forceful Stock, Stinging Magazine, Short Recon Scope, and Suppressor. Forceful Stock basically is the stock variant that gives you both better recoil and better condition. So the condition bar on this weapon isn't too crazy. It's not bad either, since we're running with Gunsmith, but Yeah, keep in mind, this is not the most durable weapon in the game. And I tried to use the stabilized stock, by the way, just to see if we can get yet another bit of improvement in terms of our recoil, but I found that if there is a difference, I'm pretty sure there is one. It was rather minuscule and not noticeable at this point, so yeah. Not a lot to say here. Stinging magazine should be the one that gives you more ammo capacity as well as armor penetration. The thing is, we already have a very fast reload speed, so I didn't feel the need to go for faster reload speed and decided to go for this here drum mag. Firstly, it looks cool, and secondly, yeah, it works well together with our Furious effect, and I think it's 3 or 4 more bullets than other versions, which is a bit stupid for a drum mag, but it's the way it is. But still, this is an extra kill per magazine, which I found nice. And lastly, we just do have this here quad faster fire rate, less vats action point cost, 10mm pistol. So as you can probably tell already, less vats cost is lost in the way we are using this weapon here. I'm thinking about making a dedicated guerrilla build in the future where this weapon here would come in very handy. But yeah, in terms of modification, the only pretty similar to before, we went for stabilized stuff all the way. The more interesting thing here is I decided to go for the short barrel rather than the long one, because yeah, most of the times when I'm using a 10mm pistol, I always go for the long barrel because, let's face it, there's no reason not to do so. The only thing I don't like is it changes the look. Basically, the bulkiness of the weapon is lost, and I've always thought that was the cool thing about the 10mm pistol in Fallout. So since we are using this thing here as a backup weapon for close quarter situation, I thought that, yeah, you can get away with the short barrel, which I definitely felt was the right decision. But yeah, keep in mind, in terms of pure gameplay values, yeah, the stabilized long barrel is better in pretty much every single way. And yeah, other than that, powerful automatic receiver, stabilized grip. On this occasion, we didn't went for the forceful one, just because, yeah, as it's just a backup weapon, it doesn't have to have that crazy of a condition bar, and yeah, that's it. And now let's take a look at the perks. We do have 2 strength, which is something you see rather often on stealth snipers, especially on my channel here. Just for bandolier, pretty straightforward. We do use ballistic ammo, so might as well reduce the weight of those bullets. Then we do have perception, which is at a non-surprising 15. Now, we don't get any benefits from the passive benefits from perception. I mean, we do get a bit better range on our compass, but I never really used it anyway. It's just there to get the perks. We're talking about all the Rifleman perks maxed out. Tank Killer, which is beneficial both for our pistol as well as our rifle, giving us extra armor penetration. I mean, the stagger chance is nice, but not the seller here. We're basically looking for the armor penetration. And lastly, we do have Sniper. Talked a little bit about it. You can hold your breath longer while aiming scopes, which becomes redundant because, yeah, due to this perk here, we don't have to hold our breath while aiming scopes anyways. As you saw there, without holding breath, we had no sway on our crosshair. I'm a bit surprised here. I was under the impression that we do get better range on our weapon, which isn't stated here. I'm not sure why I thought that. Anyways, the better control is basically worth it in and of itself, but I could have sworn that at some point we were getting better range due to sniper. Well, anyways. Am I thinking about a pistol perk? Is that possible? Well, I think it is. Anyways, onto endurance, which is rather high for a stealth character. Unnecessarily high, you could argue, but to be honest, that wasn't a lot that we needed here. So yeah, on this occasion, I went for a bit more of a mediocre endurance rather than treating it as a dump stat, which is kind of nice if you're getting hit by some stray bullets or if there's a daily ops where the mutation is that they drop poison or something like that. So it's not completely lost, but you can definitely, I mean, I would use fireproof all the way, But those 4 perk points from Life Giver that we are using for Life Giver, you can spend everywhere. One sensible decision would, for a lot of people at least, be to put them into strength and use it for more carry weight benefits, but do whatever you like there. Similar to Charisma, we do have Tenderizer here. This one is important. I would not want to play without it. 10% multiplicative damage buff. Very cool. But Strange Numbers, we didn't see that in effect here due to the way that I was playing as a solo character on my own private server. But yeah, if you want to team up with this build here, there's nothing holding you back from it, and you even get a bit stronger by doing so, just in terms of getting a bit more agility from bird bones, basically. But yeah, similar to endurance, this 1 perk point not necessary in any way, and you could spend it on something else. As I said, put it into strength, use it for more carry weight perks or anything like that. That's just when I went here. Then we do have intelligence, rank 5 gunsmith, pretty straightforward, keeping our weapon in better condition for longer. You could play without this, definitely. It's not like the duration on the durability on the assault rifle or the 10mm is terrible. It's just not great either, so I decided to go for gunsmith. Just make things a little bit more convenient for me, and I didn't really feel like there was something else I needed. Now, one thing that could be possible is if you're getting your hands on explosive versions of the weapons, talking about a quad explosive 10mm pistol and an anti-armor explosive assault rifle. Switch it out for demo expert. Definitely a bit more powerful, but you definitely have to keep an eye out for yourself. I've seen this discussion come up lately again. While the explosive effect on the weapon doesn't make it so you can't use the weapon in stealth, from my experience, it definitely has an effect. The effect isn't that your weapon becomes loud, but the point where your weapon impacts, like when you're shooting an enemy, makes enemies around it aware that something's off. So where with a non-explosive version, you can just pop a head from someone who's standing a bit outside of a radar cam, for example, and the others aren't alerted. When you're using an explosive weapon, that can happen. That doesn't mean that they know where you are, but you're basically getting into caution earlier. From there on, it doesn't really make a big difference. But yeah, overall, in terms of maxing out stealth, you want to maybe consider not using an explosive weapon, but yeah, you can definitely do it. Played tons of time with stealth and explosive weapons, and it wasn't a problem at all. So that's all I can say about it. Moving on to agility. Firstly, the combination of Guerilla we were going here for is 3 Guerilla, 3 Expert Guerilla, and 2 Master Guerilla. So nearly maxed out here. And then we have max rank of Covert Operative, max rank of Sneak, and Escape Artist. Pretty straightforward. What should I say? The 3 Sneak perks are basically a must-have on a stealth character. Now, obviously, if you're going for something like a Bloody Bill or so, you can probably spare Sneak. You can get away without using it even on this character rather well. But I want to go all in on stealth usually, just so I never really break out of stealth. I think it happened once around the Fisher side, but only for a very brief period. And yeah, not a lot we could use otherwise here. I mean, something like Modern Renegade would be interesting, but yeah, we just can't justify using that over damage perks directly or Covert Operative, Sneak, and so on. And that leaves us with Luck, where we have 8 2 4-star genes. Pretty straightforward. We want to keep our mutations, not get any new ones. Tormentor. Yeah, I pointed it out when we were fighting the Assaultron. It can definitely be useful on a lot of occasions. Targeting wings from Scorch Beast, targeting legs from Sheep Squatches, for example. It's not the most efficient crippling perk, but not the worst one either. So 15% chance, that's not too bad, and with 25 bullets in a magazine from our assault rifle, yeah, we can pretty much assume that, yeah, with a single magazine we can cripple an enemy. The interesting part, or the challenging part here, rather, is to actually hit the limbs, because we're not using vats to do so. So you have to do that in free aim. But I think that's rather doable if you see the situation coming. It gets a bit harder when you're surprised by an enemy and it's very close or something. But yeah, if you approach an enemy from a distance, you can easily aim for the legs or the respective weak spot that you want to aim for. And lastly, Bloody Mess. Even though it's not a big benefit, yes, it's still 15% extra damage, so might as well take that with us. And that leaves us with only a legendary perk. So here it is, legendary agility, as I already said, just boosting our agility a bit higher to give us better stealth. But other than that, we are using all of the more interesting perks here. What reds? I mean, that's shown off rather consistently on this channel. I just like the convenience of it. Not a lot to say about it. But then we do a far-flung fireworks, only at rank 1. It's just a nice little gimmick for me. I never thought that far-flung fireworks was too useful, where the explosive melee perks can be quite powerful. Far-flung fireworks rarely seems to help you out in a fight. In a group-up situation where you're fighting a ton of ghouls, it can be useful, but other than that, it's just a gimmick in my opinion. Here we have probably the most powerful perk in the whole build, Follow Through, maxed out, 40% multiplicative damage bonus after a successful sneak attack, so this is our bread and butter, basically. So not a lot to say here, just improving our stealth capabilities. And lastly, we do have Master Infiltrator and Ammo Factory. Ammo Factory, what should I say? If you're deciding to craft ammo, you can do it more efficiently. So yeah, pretty simple here. And then we will have Master Infiltrator, so we can pick every single lock and every terminal can be hacked. But yeah, as I said, the reason I wanted to do these here is just go for something I usually don't do too much of, and we can actually get away without using all these extra perks and so on. So yeah, that was it. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. And yeah, I think we did it. We actually made a bit of a slower. Haven't yet decided which one to use here. We have successfully made a shorter video, I think, rather than the other ones. And with that being said, see you next time, and bye.